Hello and welcome back to my channel. I did a video a few weeks ago talking about like 2 years into recovery, little update, like a life update, and a lot of people actually reached out to me afterwards. So I decided to make another video in this format, but this time we're going to talk about being in recovery for 2 years and what I would have done differently if I would start it all over again, which I'm not going to do, but also what worked for me so that you don't have to do the whole trial and error for yourself. So let's start. So number one, and I mentioned that before in my book that I'm actually going to release in Germany in May and then in summer in America. Talked about it before.
You know what? I'm about to say it.
It often gets worse before it gets better. And what I mean by that is, for me, the physical discomfort, the pain, all the struggles, but also my mental health went rock bottom before it finally and like slowly started to become better, and now I'm like happier than I've ever been before. But it oftentimes gets worse before it gets better, and this is a point where many people actually relapse, which is so sad to see because I completely understand it. Like I had times where I wanted to go back, but being at the point where I'm at now, I'm so proud of myself and so glad that I didn't go back. So please be reminded, if it gets worse when you like start recovery, it's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. It's not a sign that recovery is not right for you. It just means that oftentimes things just have to get worse and like go to one extreme before they can like finally balance out. The second thing is, don't weigh yourself. Like, I actually didn't weigh myself very often, but there were a few occasions where I either had to be weighed or I actually had to be weighed and asked for not knowing the weight, and then somebody wrote it down, that kind of stuff. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Asked to be weighed blindly. You can also, like in America, you're like getting weighed with every doctor's appointment. You have the right to say no, you know that, right? Because I had to learn that. You can say no. You can be like, well, I have like a rough idea, I can give you a number, but I prefer not to be weighed. It's that easy. So if you have the option, don't weigh yourself, because you're in recovery for a reason, because you have to change something. And you know that, like, your brain knows that. Brain is smart. But it still feels wrong. Numbers can be so triggering, and I'm telling you, when you're in recovery, the number you see will always make you feel bad. Just do yourself the favor and don't weigh yourself. Number three, remind yourself that not everyone is looking at you. And especially when we're like very insecure, we often think that everyone is judging us, everyone is staring at us, is side-eyeing us, when it's not the case. And this is because it feels like we can't handle the way we look, but oftentimes it's way more the way we feel. Because oftentimes starting recovery is also starting to let your emotions come up again. It's also starting to feel the pain, not just the physical pain. It's also about like finally making a change, which often brings up a lot of emotions and trauma that the eating disorder covered. So the eating disorder was there for a reason, but now it's time to heal. But sitting with your emotions will help. And no matter how long it takes, I promise you it will eventually get better. The next thing I wish I would have done differently was not suppressing my hunger. So when I started recovery, I went all in, meaning I was very aware of the fact that there is healing hunger, and I was completely convinced I'm gonna like listen to my hunger cures all the time. And I actually did for like the most time, but there were also like periods where I like gaslighted myself and tried to suppress my hunger, or to go with a quote unquote safer option, which was like something low caloric. I would often, like, I promised myself to not do artificial sweeteners anymore, but I would go back. That just like extends the process and the time it takes to heal. And I know it's easier said than done, but don't start to work out too early. Don't try to go back. Don't try to make up for what you've eaten, because these are the things we want to get rid of. So it's super uncomfortable, but I'd rather be in discomfort for like 1 or 2 or 3 years, or however long it takes, than to live with an eating disorder for the rest of my life. The next thing I wish I did differently was not to hide. Because like in the beginning, I would hide. I was so ashamed of the way I looked that I would like rather stay at home than like going out with my friends. But like going out with my friends and doing the things I liked helped me so much to not concentrate on my looks and on my body so much anymore. I know a lot of people who like start feeling very depressed in their recovery, but if you can, try to just like continue living the life you want to, be living. Go out with your friends, wear the outfit. Going to the pool, like to a public pool, it took me like 1.5 years to do that. But I finally did, and it wasn't as bad. I was there with like a very safe person, with a very close friend of mine, but it is possible. You won't look back and be like, oh, amazing, I sat like 3 summers in my bedroom. That's a great memory. No, you will look back and be like, oh, remember that summer when we would go to the lake all the time, when we like hang out at the bar, when we did whatever it is. These are the memories you're gonna look back on, and these are the memories that will like have such a big meaning in your life. So don't do yourself a favor and create memories. Another thing I learned during my recovery is that doctors are not always right. They are not the gods in white. I had a few great doctors, very, very empathic, but I also had doctors who were, not the yellow from the egg, as the German would say. Doctors just don't know a lot about eating disorders. They don't know about healing hunger. They don't know about blood work. There's actually the science of eating disorders is like a whole different topic that unfortunately doesn't really get taught in like college. Don't believe anything that feels wrong. And I know that sometimes our eating disorders, or if you don't want to like personalize your eating disorder, like the disorder part of you might see that as a relief, or as, oh yes, the doctor's right, the doctor's saying I should watch what I eat, the doctor's saying I should work out more, so I'm gonna do it. No, don't do that. In the end, the doctor is not the person who's gonna suffer. You are the person who's gonna suffer, and who has a way longer period of recovery than to, just give yourself rest and give your body rest. And speaking of rest, this is actually something else. Like in the beginning, I would still try to get my steps in. I would still try to like work out. But giving yourself and giving your body and your brain rest is so important for recovery. So instead of like trying to hold on to the last bit of your eating disorder, just try to let go. And this is another thing that I learned and that I wish I would have done differently. Sometimes things scream when they are dying. And our eating disorders scream when they are dying. So the less room we give them and the more we work on our recovery, the louder they're gonna try to scream. And in the end, you might want to hang on to the last bit. You might want to hang on to the last disordered habit, to getting your steps in, or to like some weird food rules, because it still feels unsafe to let go completely. But letting go completely is the only safe option. So let go. And last but not least, I also want to talk about like comments other people make, because I feel like this can be the most triggering thing. And we all know triggers are like most of the times things that just point out where we need more healing. But chances are that when your body changes, people make comments. And oftentimes those comments might be positive in a way where people be like, oh, you look so much better, you look so much healthier. But for someone who struggles with an eating disorder, those comments are the worst. You can't avoid getting comments, but you can control your reaction to them. I know that it is hard, but this is actually something you can learn. So you can learn how to react to those comments. And in the beginning, I would always judge those comments as something negative, as, oh, people can see that my body changed. Oh, it's happening. Oh, I'm giving up on my eating disorder, all that kind of stuff. But over time, I learned to like turn them around to something good. And I was like, oh, another compliment. Like, before that, I mean, I got compliments as well, but it was never that genuine. I was like, oh, somebody like complimented me, so it can't be that bad. And I know it's not always about looks, but let's be honest, it can feel great to like get compliments. And also like a lot of the compliments were like, about my smile, about the light in my eyes that came back, about my happy personality that came back. So it's not always about your looks. Once you start healing, people will feel it. You will have a different energy. And this is one of the most beautiful things to happen. I had people around me crying because they were so happy to have me back. And that feeling is the best in the world. And I wish everyone out there to be able to get to that point, to be able to feel like them again, and to be able to live their lives to the fullest. So let's make this fucking recovery happening. And I'm here for you. Drop your questions in the comments if you have some. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit the follow button, and I'll see you in the next one.